Well, guys, welcome to this week's group call. This week I have a very special guest. His name is Bobby Hobert. Bobby, you're a specialist in routines for entrepreneurs. Man, thank you so much for your time, first and foremost, for joining. And dude, I'm stoked that you're here.
I'm pumped. So I appreciate you having me for real, dude. Thank you.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. So first things first, typically how these work is, I ask you some questions. And then after that, we can just open the floor up to the guys and just shoot and go from there.
Dude, I love it. I'm all game, and let's make this an incredible 45, 60 minutes. I definitely hope we can get everyone to participate and just be here in the moment. And let's make this something where everyone leaves and they feel like they got something out of this, which I know is what's going to happen. But just to set the intention out loud, I'm fucking stoked to be here, and let's get into some good shit today, boys.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
I love it. I love it. Well, Bobby, first things first, man, like what is your backstory? What got you into the entrepreneur space? Any stories that you have in mind that triggered that, got you into this?
Yeah, that's great. I really hope through this conversation, fellas, anyone that is listening right now, like I'm just an average Joe. Where, the highlight reel of Instagram and social media and TikTok content and fucking newsletters and, things like this today, it's like so easy for me to just like say out loud where I come from, who I am. But I hope you recognize and realize that at my core, I'm all the same as all of you. And really, it's just been a commitment these last 7 years of just personal growth, learning, testing, failing that's got me to where I am today. But what I think was like my moment where it kind of clicked, and I had this like moment where I realized I got to really figure some shit out. It was my junior year of college. I'm from Massachusetts. My junior year of college, I went to a school called Bentley University, and I thought I wanted to like work in corporate America, drive a BMW, have a nice suit. And no disrespect to that, but when I got an internship doing that, I was like, shit, this is not what I want to do. And so that moment at 21, 22, that was 21, set me on a path of like, what do I want to do with my life? And where do I see myself going now that the grand plan is now demolished? And so from that moment on, pretty much I graduated 12 months later, and I did the opposite of what my graduating class did, which was 99% of them, which is factual statistical. I got an email. 99% of them were enrolled in a full-time career within 6 months. And I was not. I was driving Uber full-time. I had everyone questioning, why are you an Uber driver? You just graduated a top business school in Boston. Why are you starting a podcast? And in those moments, I just trusted and believed that I needed to go down this self-discovery journey of figuring out what my passion was, what was my purpose, what did I wanted to do with my life. And this was 2016. And I started a podcast called Purpose in the Youth, and I just started interviewing people. One thing led to another. That took me down a 3-year path. Then I left driving Uber full-time, started working at Liquid IV full-time. And I've been with them for the last 3 years, while at the same time building a coaching business, social media content, a newsletter, all this fun stuff. But it's really just been one foot in front of the other. And I have a tattoo on me that shows 1%. And that's been a mindset that I've adapted these last 7 years of 1% growth per day. So all that to say, Cooper, man, I'm truly just an average Joe. I think you're hearing and seeing the end product of 7 years in the making of just like continuous one foot in front of the other. And I'm just so excited about where I'm at, but I feel like, man, I got so much gas left in the tank. So I hope that gives context to kind of what it's been like. And there's been a lot of high highs, a lot of low lows, but through it all, I've just kind of kept going.
Wow, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. What would you say to one of these guys that is in one of those low points or those valleys? How would you advise him to get out of that state of mind?
Well, what I'm about to say is actually what none of you are probably going to anticipate me saying. And it's really hard in the moment when you're going through the lows to truly trust and believe what I'm about to say. But you are honestly going to look back and appreciate this moment probably so much more than you will from the highs. When I look back on the last 7 years, there are these big high level achievements and milestones, but the ones that come to mind more often than not are those low moments. Like everything is relative to what you're going through and where you're at. When I was driving Uber full time, true, like I loved it for the most part. Like I enjoyed it. I was a people's person. I got to drive around LA and see the glitz and glamour. I got to drop people off at Jay-Z's house, Diddy's house, like you name it. It was like a really cool chapter of my life. But there were moments when I was questioning my own self-worth while doing it. Why am I driving Uber? I'm so much, I'm too good for this. I could be giving the world so much more value, blah, blah, blah. But now, years later, looking back on it, I'm so grateful for those years because of all the people I got to meet. It was like chances for me to become like a podcaster, and like I got to interview people on a daily basis through these rides, and having that chapter of my life, I can now use as part of my story when I'm talking to somebody about like, hey, I went through a chapter where I was doing shit I didn't want to do, but I got through it. And now here I am today. I literally have once again, I feel like I'm calling on all my tattoos. I have a tattoo in the back of my arm that says 19,002. And that's a total number of Uber drives I did in 3.5 years, 19,002 total rides.
Wow.
And I never wanted to forget it because I think it's a testament to consistency and believing yourself. And they say the 10,000 hours. Well, there's 19,000 right there. So all that to say, if you're in those low moments right now, it's going to be so hard to really hear this, but trust me that in time, you are going to look back on this period of your life with so much gratitude because of the growth that it propelled you into and how you're going to be able to use the learnings during this period of your life to really set you on a path to where you want to go in the future.
Guys, that's pure gold. Pure gold. Bobby, is there a certain person that you see a lot of inspiration from, and why? Like, who do you from?
It's really good. I feel like I go through these. I always talk about this with people. I go through these little phases every like month and a half where I get super obsessed with someone, and it depends on like the chapter of life I'm in. Right, like I'd say January through March, I was like obsessed with like love and masculinity for a lot of things I was dealing with in my life behind the scenes. So I was obsessed with like Jay Shetty. But then before that, I was more obsessed with like probably like the world of coaching and building creator businesses. And so there were other digital creators that I was looking to. But the one person that has stayed very clear has always been somebody I've gone back to over the last 6 or 7 years, which I know, Cooper, you're familiar with him, is Lewis Howes, the host of the School of Greatness podcast. Without his podcast, I would not have had the confidence to start my own. And I've been fortunate to actually get to meet him and have conversation with him. And so to see like that full circle of going from a listener to then becoming someone that he knows on a first name basis, it's been a real life example for me of like, fuck, what is possible when I fully commit to something and I go all in and I do what I need to do. So I say Lewis Howes just for his energy, his content, the lifestyle I want to create for myself. He's been somebody that I don't consume on a daily basis, but him and Gary Vee have been the two that have stayed with me for the last 7 years for sure, without a doubt.
I know we talked about Lewis before. Stud.
Yeah.
He's a killer.
You're on the path going, you're going to be there, bro. Like you're on that path right now. All fellas that are in here right now, Cooper's on the path to that level of success. And I'm glad he's here to guide all of you guys through that process.
Make me blush.
Honesty, baby.
That, though.
Absolute honesty.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, I mean, Lewis, guys, like if you need a podcast to start off with, start with the School of Greatness. Seriously, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Lewis, he's a genius. His energy's there. He interviews the best guests in the world. Like, it's unreal. It's phenomenal.
I think it's important to know a little bit about a lot. Like there's always going to be those things that you're super obsessed with and that you go all in. Mine's like optimizing time. I'm obsessed with everything within that window, but it's like, I recognize there's importance in like health and wellness and like love and experiences and finances. So someone like him, it's like, you can get a little bit of everything. And then you kind of pick your pockets of what do you want to go really deep on, depending on where you're at in your life and what the focus might be.
Absolutely. Super cool. It
Yeah,
really is.
totally.
So, Bobby, let me ask you this. What are some of the most common mistakes entrepreneurs make when it comes to habits and routines? And then also, how can these men fix these mistakes?
I think the most common mistake I hear and see through social media, through personal clients, through just conversations at events is people not creating routines and habits to the things that they're very clearly wanting in their life, whether that's a workout routine, whether that's eating healthy, whether that's carving out time for new experiences, whether that's dating. I mean, literally, you can apply it to every aspect of your life. And the word habit and routine doesn't sound sexy, but what I hear in both of those words is accountability. And so when you have something in your life that you want and you want to build on or you want to grow in, if you're not putting in consistent effort towards that area of your life, nothing is going to happen. Like during that 3 years of me driving Uber, I had absolutely no dating life. Like I didn't go on a single date. I was celibate for over 1,000 days. It wasn't happening. And there were those moments where I was like pissed off, like, why doesn't a woman want me? All these thoughts are rolling in my mind. And then one day it hit me. I'm like, you idiot. You're complaining about all these, the women not wanting you, and you're not even putting yourself in a position to meet women, or you're not even putting in effort. So what do you expect? You think that like, they're just going to come out the woodworks to you, the Uber driver, the guy who's building a podcast, right? So that's just one example. But I think that's what we have to remind ourselves of is we want X in our life, but we have to ask ourselves the honest question, are we putting in the proper effort each day or week, which then leans back on to, are you creating a habit and routine out of it? If we're using the dating example, that maybe that's you swiping on apps. Maybe that's you telling yourself you're going to go to an event or a meetup twice a week at a run club, a bowling alley, group or something like. So the question you need to ask yourself, fellas, doesn't matter what you're trying to do in your life, whatever that area of your life that you feel like needs the most amount of progress or help with, ask yourself, are you allocating the proper amount of time? If yes, now it's just a game of consistency and having patience. If no, create a plan that is going to help you start putting in the proper effort so that you can start to see the results. Consistency breeds results.
Oof, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. I find that a lot of guys, we want certain goals, but a lot of us aren't willing to actually put in the work to get there. And so being honest with ourselves and what sacrifices we're actually willing to make, that's one of the first steps, wouldn't you say?
Clarity.
Yeah.
What are we chasing?
Yeah.
I want to make a lot of money. How much money do you want to make? I'm guilty of it. I have this number. I don't even have a number in my mind. I'm like, yeah, I just need to make more money so I can continue to live the lifestyle I want to. But it's like, what's that number actually look like? It might be a lot less than you actually think. But I agree. I think the really first step is get clear on what is it that you actually want, and knowing that what you want is going to be different than what anyone else wants. And that's totally okay.
100%. Have you ever had times in your life where you've lacked clarity or maybe things were a little bit blurry? And then how did you find clarity in those uncertain times?
Yeah, that's really good. I feel like even the last 12 months was clear, but it was also like continuous, like getting more narrow, more focused, more honed in. And I think the best way to find clarity is by throwing yourself out there and trying. And what I mean by that is the clarity doesn't come from you sitting in a room meditating. Maybe it will. So I want to take a step back. I'm a big meditator. I'm all about mindfulness. So please take that with a grain of salt. I mean that like joyfully, lightfully, and hopefully you laughed. But like you need to put action. That's the only way you're going to figure out the clarity aspect is like you have these ideas. Now put them into action and see what is sticking. What are you enjoying? And what do you want to do more of? I think a really good question to ask yourself that I have asked myself from time to time when I need to figure out, am I on the right path or not, is if I had an unlimited credit card, money's never an object. I can do whatever the fuck I want for the rest of my life. Do I want to keep doing this? If yes, I'm definitely on the right path. If no, probably should start thinking about what's the next step. Because if you're just doing it for the money, inevitably that's going to become normalized and you're going to get sick of it and want to do something else. So that's kind of what I've always asked myself is like, if I don't have to worry about money, do I want to keep doing this? And it tends to give me the right yes or no. But I think it's really just carving out pockets of time to be still and like ask yourself these deep questions. Come to containers like this where you might not be talking, but hopefully you're just listening. Maybe not necessarily to me, but like these thoughts, these topics are starting to like get your brain to fire, and you might jot down a couple ideas. Maybe tomorrow you test one of those ideas out. Maybe you try something else later this weekend. Continuing to follow whatever that inner interest is guiding or telling you to do. And I think through that, you're going to figure out what the clarity is. Like, very grateful. My parents from a young age were always like, follow your heart. They were the encouragement when I graduated college. Like, hey, we're not helping you with your college loans, but like, if you want to drive Uber, we trust you. You want to start this podcast or whatever? We don't know what that is, but we trust you. And so I've always been a big believer and advocate. Follow that true north. There's something inside all of you fellas that you really want to do. You might not feel a confidence to do it. You might be caving to, the expectations of others or opinions, but there's something deep down inside each one of us that we know we want to do and we're scared as shit to go for it. That tends to be the thing. And you don't have to have the perfect blueprint of what does that look like. You just need to be willing to just put in some effort each day. And through that, it's going to lead you to where you need to be. Like when I met you, Cooper, I didn't know I was going to end up talking to your men tonight. Like we connected through social media. We had a call. We had 2 calls. Now I'm here. Like, I don't know the blueprint ahead of time. I'm not sitting down mapping out what does the next 90 days of my life look like. I just live my life one day at a time. And as opportunities come up, I kind of plant them on the calendar. And then when the day comes, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm talking to Cooper and the boys tonight. And then tomorrow I'll worry about whatever that to-do list is. So it's a long-winded answer to say, follow the true north inside you and know that clarity doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen from you sitting still. It happens by you actually doing.
I love that. So action cuts through that fog of uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good way to put it.
I love that. So what motivates you each and every day? Like, is there something certain that you feel is your deeper purpose? Like, what motivates you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely motivated for like providing for family, my loved ones, my girlfriend, friends. Like, I want to provide. I want to impact community. I want to impact the people like yourself and any of the guys on the call tonight, anyone that sees my social media content. Like, I want to have a ripple effect, but selfishly, I want to help the 22-year young version of myself still 7 years later, who felt lost, confused, didn't know what he wanted to do, was looking for guidance. And so when I close my eyes, I can actually visualize the day I graduated college and being scared as shit because everybody was so happy. I had this like fake smile on my face because I knew this was supposed to be one of the best moments of my life, but I was scared as fuck because I did not know what my life was going to look like after this day. And I continue to create for him because I know that feeling and emotion didn't just disappear with me. There might be guys on this call that are feeling that same thing with a different context, different scenario. It doesn't matter. It's all relative. And I continuously am just trying to remember that version of myself and create for him. And I'd say I've been through 3 different seasons of my creative career in my life for the last 7 years. They've always changed and adapted what that true north looked like, but still all of it, when I look back at it, fits what I was seeking then. And so I hope that the stuff that I make today and produce and create and coach and give out, like, I hope it is helping people, but I know my radar of is this helpful or is it not, is what I've appreciated this at 22. If yes, I'm going to create it. I'm not going to allow the opinions of people on social media to tell me this sucks. You use the same content. Like, I know this is what I want to create and how I want to help people. So that's what motivates me, man. It's what gets me out of bed every day.
I love that. It's a purpose.
It's a purpose.
Your meaning.
Constantly adapting and changing, but lights a fire into my ass each morning when I get up.
I love it, man. Yeah, we actually had some deep conversations with a friend today on this topic, actually. And we we're talking about how purpose can evolve. Purpose can be even passion projects on the side, and how we can implement purpose with our lifestyle, with things that we're doing that may not even pertain to work, which is super interesting. Let me ask you this. So how important is failure for success?
Yeah, man, I have completely redefined the word. Like, that word is so scary for so many people. Like, when people hear the word failure, it is this like ugly, I want to stay away. I don't want to talk about it. It's a fucking beautiful word. I interviewed a guy who founded Liquid IV. Company sold for hundreds of millions of dollars a few years ago. I did a podcast with him 6 months after getting acquired, and I asked him about failure. And what he said has forever stuck with me. I asked him, I said, how did you not let failure stop you from moving forward with the business? Because there were many of them along the way. And he said, when it comes to failure, it's either a winning decision or it's a learning opportunity. The winning decision is you went out there to do X, you accomplished X, you won, you keep moving forward. A learning opportunity is you went out there to do X, you didn't hit the target, but you take a moment to step back and go, what did I learn? How can I adapt moving forward? How is this going to better me for the future? You take all those little learnings, you put them in your pocket, and you keep moving forward. The problem is we think that like we're supposed to just get it on the first try, the first date, the first podcast, the first book, the first article, the first set at the gym, the first cold email, the first coffee meetup. Like, we're supposed to just have it all figured out. When you recognize that life is truly all about learning, growing, following your curiosity, failure is it's not part of the language anymore. Like, not until this conversation right now have I recognized, like, I haven't looked at my own. There hasn't been a moment in the last few years where I was like, that was a failure, which is actually really crazy because now it's showing me the growth that I've had. Because in 2019, when I stopped my first podcast, that was kind of in my mind, like, did I fail? I'm losing my identity. I'm not the podcaster of Purpose in the Youth anymore. Like, was this a failure? Was this a waste of time? And it wasn't. It was a pivot. And it took me through that process 9 months to finally accept that. So failure, it just doesn't exist. It exists if you allow it. If you grab hold to it and you assume that because you didn't get to X, it's a failure. If you just flipped it and started looking at those moments that you quote unquote failed instead as what was a learning opportunity here, so much more faster can you adapt and move forward and be more prepared for the future. It takes time though. Like I said, like, anytime I speak to people that may not know who I am, I try to make sure in the beginning of the call, I let them know, like, hey, listen, I'm an average Joe. Everything you hear is years in the making, right? I think anyone on this call can take that mindset and implement it immediately. But it's very easy for me to be like, yeah, come on, fellas. It's like, there is no such thing as failure. It should just click. But sometimes you need to hear things a million times, or sometimes you need to experience it for yourself for it to finally click. Like, somebody might hear that tonight and they're like, I don't really know if that resonates. And then it might take a week, 2 weeks. It might be another podcast, another book, and then it finally clicks, right? But the sooner you can really understand that there is no such thing as failure, the faster you're going to grow, and you're just going to be able to pivot in real time instead of, there's just, once again, I'm all about time. That's like the thing that I focus on the most. There's so much wasted time and energy. I failed. It didn't work. People are mad at me. People are talking shit. You just gotta let that go. You gotta just let that off of you, because that's just freezing you in the present moment instead of allowing you to propel forward.
So much to take away from that. So much to take away from that, guys. I hope y'all are taking notes. Seriously.
I'd be curious in the comments while we keep talking, what does your relationship look like to failure? Because that's one that if you can get through that, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid to quote unquote fail, and you're leaning into learning opportunities, you're never going to stop evolving, chasing the curiosity, testing and trying. But it's the limiting beliefs of what failure is going to, how am I going to fail? What does it look like if I fail? That stops, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah. It's all a perspective shift.
Yeah.
That is huge. Let's see. Jared said, back in November, I learned a crazy lesson about how failures can be used as stepping stones for success.
Easy. Stepping stones. That's a great way to look at it.
That paints a very powerful picture in the mind.
Mm-hmm. I would almost call it stepping pebbles, because they're these little blips that we glamorize as these massive boulders and rock formations. The failure, it's so massive and big. It's just a little pebble.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we think that so many fucking people are watching and caring. Nobody cares. They care for a split second. Oh, you failed. And they're fucking back in their own head about their own shit.
Yeah. Like literally, man, like if you think of, the people, the big name people that everyone know,
mm-hmm.
They can have colossal fuck ups.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 3 months, no one even remembers.
Mm-mm.
And I'm talking about like the household names,
Mm-hmm.
Like celebrities that, they either like cheat or like they do like some crazy stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In like 2 months, no one even remembers.
Nope.
And so people that aren't household names, no one cares.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep. You gotta lean into it.
You got to lean into it. So what has been your biggest realization so far this year in 2023?
High level. What's the biggest realization? That's anything specific?
We'll say in terms of lifestyle, in terms of personal development.
This is a really good question. Could go so many ways with this right now. I want to sit with this for just a second.
It's a deep question, I know.
What I'm realizing, and what I've realized this year, is that I can actually access this dream life that I've so desired in my life. I'm actually living in it in real time. It's just all in a sense of scalability, and like it's all relative, right? So like if you're like, what is like the picture perfect day look like for you, Bobby? It's, I'm working out, I'm eating healthy, I'm working hard, I'm creating content. I spend quality time with friends and loved ones. I'm trying new experiences. I'm maybe trying a new restaurant, like unattached to the car that I drive, or like the value of money in my pocket. Just high level. What does that lifestyle look like, right? All those things are just listed, and I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to rationalize, like, or to think in my mind, well, you're not, you're working full time while building this business. So you're not there yet. Or, you drive a Ford Fusion, you're not driving a Range Rover like everyone else in LA. So you're not there yet. Or you got to fly in the back of the plane and you're not flying first class or private. So you're not there. Right. But I'm already living it. So my thing has been like, how can I just keep enjoying the day-to-day present moment lifestyle and be unattached to all this extra shit and fluff that, like, what's it worth? I love to use the example when we talk material items and money. And I think anyone on this call can resonate. Think about when you're a kid. There's that new pair of shoes you want for back to school. You would do anything for that pair of shoes. You get the pair of shoes, you're fucking hyped. Week goes by, you're still hyped. 2 weeks goes by, still kind of hyped. Month goes by, 2 months. Now there's a new pair of shoes. You want those. You would do anything for those new pair of shoes. And the cycle repeats. It's the same thing at scale. Whatever that dream car is right now you want, fellas, that dream house. I can't say I've ever bought a 6-figure car or a multi-million-dollar house or been on private jets, but through listening and seeing it happen through people I know, through podcasts, I can put myself in the shoes and go, this shit's just it's the same thing. It's just different levels to it. So all that to say, I would challenge everyone listening, take some time in the next 24 hours and don't write down the specifics of, like, it needs to be an X5 BMW, need to have a multi-million-dollar house. Keep it very high level. What does that desired lifestyle look like for you? And how do you access it today? Because if you really think about it, I truly believe that most of you on this call could probably access 80 to maybe 100% of the lifestyle you want for yourself. And if you can access it now while you're continuing to build your career, while you're continuing to get to that level that you so are inspired and want to get to, you're going to fucking enjoy each day so much more than feeling like you got to be miserable until you get to that destination. Because once you get to that peak, on to the next one. You wanted that one pair of shoes, you got it. Now you want the next pair. So I think that's been a big realization this year for me, is like, I'm actually living the lifestyle that I dream and envision for myself. Are there moments where I have to do things I don't necessarily want to do? Yes. Will there likely be those moments? Even if I could snap into the reality I so fucking want and I'm working towards, I fucking believe it. I think even at that level, I'll have to do certain things that maybe I don't care or want to do. So once again, it's all scalable. It's all relative to where you're at. I'm fucking happy. I'm living a life that is truly in alignment with me. And that was my 2 words coming into this year. So it makes sense. Not make sense, but it's great to hear that that's the reflection, because for me, coming into this year was intentional time. How do I actually look back at each day and week and month going, I don't have a single regret with how I spent my time? Did the 90-minute call with Chase Rewards last night, rebooking an airline, and they screwed up, kind of pissed me off? Yes. But it's all good. There's going to be those moments. It can't be fucking perfect every minute of every day. But when I zoom out and I look back at the month of April leading up to yesterday, even though it was May 1, I don't know, 98% of my time was like what I wanted to do. So intentional time, man. Ask yourself, what does that dream life look like? How do you access it today?
I love that. Man, you're spitting on this call, man. You're spitting facts.
You deserve the credit, because you're the one that creates the container. You're the one that's asking the right questions. So without that and knowing who you are, there's a level of trust. There's a level of, like, I want to give this my all. I want to leave. I want to put everything on this call so that when people leave, they're like, this was worth my time. Whether it's one nugget, maybe it's no nugget. Maybe it's just they had the time to just think through some thoughts and make some changes in their mind. And it might not even be things that I said, but it's the container that you've created that is allowing for this to be what it is. And truthfully, like I don't do a lot ever since stopping podcasting about a year ago. I don't do a lot of these types of environments. I do a lot of one-on-one with people, but like things like this, it really gives me a chance to reflect and say things that like I don't feel like I say every call, because I'm not talking about these things all the time. So, respect to you for creating this container for tonight.
You're awesome, brother. You're awesome, man. Much love. So, last question, man. This is another deep one. Okay. So prepare yourself.
Right.
If you had to leave behind one piece of information or something that you want to leave behind for an impact, right? There's a huge meteor coming towards the earth to smash the earth. You just had to leave one thing behind for future generations. What would that one thing be?
The honest answer that comes to my heart, and I promise fellas on this call, it's not to plug myself, but it's because I know it would have, I think, the most impact. Because me saying like a certain piece of content I've created, a certain newsletter, a certain blog, like that's me talking. And yes, like, could somebody consume it, resonate, and get inspired? Yes. But I think that's really like, it's very hard for me to pick and choose, because I don't know, just because a video has X amount of views doesn't mean that like that should be the piece that like is left forever. For me, I would choose, and it was I attempted digital products a couple of years ago, called it Bearded Man University. This is way early in my career. It was like 2018, 2019. Then flopped, didn't do great, whatever. Good lesson learned. But in January this year, coincidentally with, intentional time, I ended up creating a free 4-day video course called Master Your Minute. And I took everything that I've learned with habits, routines, setting boundaries, like kind of what I was just saying earlier about designing a life where every day I'm truly living like the dream life. And I created this 4-day video course with a workbook that would help others do the same. Take them from a place of feeling lost, giving them clarity, giving them actionable steps, and in 4 days' time, having them have a custom schedule that's telling them what to do and when. And I think that would be the thing I would leave, because although I created it and my name's on it, it is directly giving the person actionable steps at zero cost to helping them get on a path that is much more aligned with them. Without a doubt, that would be the one thing I'd leave, because it's free, which means that doesn't matter who you are, your financial status, you can access it. And I think if I could help every single person in this world right now get more aligned with like their dream life, I think we would all, it would ripple. People would be happier. They would be more energized in their day, because they would then be getting the ideal amount of sleep. They wouldn't be wasting their time with people that aren't supporting them. They would have boundaries in life. So that would be the one thing I would leave to the world.
I love it. I love it. If you guys get a chance, you'll have to check that out. Seriously. I got that 4-day blueprint. I still need to fill out that schedule or not, but guys, seriously, check that out.
You're pretty dialed, Cooper. You at this point, I would bet you probably don't need it, but you never know. But I think first, once again, going back to the 22-year-old version of myself, that sense of loss, not knowing what is my time? Like, what does this mean? Right. That's the one that was the version I needed. Someone like you, I think you're doing a really good job of it. It might show you a couple of things, but I think you're probably pretty optimized at this point.
Yeah, I'd love to get it and even learn, a few things as well. I'm always open to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Bobby, thank you so much for thinking deeply about these questions. Just so much to absorb. Like, really, Just powerful answers, just pure gold for these guys, just so much value. So now what I'm gonna do is open the floor for you guys to ask Bobby questions. Don't be shy. If you guys have a question, just jump right into it.
Yeah, please. I would love, and don't feel like you have to go in the chat. I would love if anyone wants to come off mic and we can shoot it straight.
Yeah, Miguel, I see you got a question.
Hey, Bobby. First of all, I follow you on TikTok, and I love your content.
Appreciate it, brother.
And then I wanted to ask you, what's a habit or two that have been the most difficult for you to break or overcome? And what did it take for you to finally overcome that?
Immediate thought that comes to mind is porn. I think that was like such an easy crutch to like clear my mind to, if I was unemotionally not in a good headspace, clear my mind from like creative block, clear my mind because I'm emotionally dealing with a lot of shit in my personal life. It was a crutch for so many aspects of my life, and I committed somewhere in December of this year, of the end of last year, where I was like, I'm done. Like, I like, this just doesn't serve me anymore. I was also at the time going through a rocky time with my girlfriend. We had broken up. And so now I was like using it as a way to like escape like the honest feelings and emotions of a breakup. And I was just like, fuck it. I'm not doing this no more. And so haven't clicked into porn since. And you know, I haven't gotten into the depths of like the health stuff of, you know, why it's porn isn't good, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. But the initial question is, what's the habit? I chose that. And I think the key for me, how I've been able to break any habit is really 3 steps. One is just saying, and being aware of, this is no longer serving me. I don't want this in my life anymore. Okay. Step number 2, instead of thinking about, I want to cut out porn for the rest of my life, I'm going to cut out porn today. Just this 24 hours. That's all I'm focused on. Great. And the third and final step is that consistency. Having that conversation with myself each day. I'm choosing not to watch porn. I'm choosing not to drink alcohol. I'm choosing not to eat sweets, whatever the fuck it is. Just taking it one day at a time has allowed me to take something that was just, a week long to a month to 6 months to a year and so on. I think that's been crucial. Is there a habit that you are trying to break?
Well, that one that you mentioned for sure has been very difficult over the years. And then being consistent, I think, has been very difficult for me too. Like waking up early, I'll have periods of time where I can do it, but then I fall off the wagon and then I start feeling not so good, and that feedback loop just creates it even more difficult to get up early again, you know. But consistency in anything really has been a big kind of bad habit for me.
The beauty of consistency when it comes to sleep habits and waking up habits is it's actually creating more time for you. You're going to spend less energy debating what time do I want to go to bed? What time should I wake up? Or you neglect the amount of hours you sleep because you're like, fuck, I got to be super productive tomorrow. And you stay up watching TikTok till 2 a.m. and then you get up at 7. You feel like shit for the next 24 hours, right? Now that's rippled on the rest of your day. If you commit to creating routines into bedtimes and wake up times, it's going to make it so much easier for you to follow through on it. And you're going to wake up, if we're speaking to that specifically, you're going to wake up so much more energized on a daily basis. I literally have a TikTok tomorrow coming out on this. So it's fucking great timing because I just wrote a script about it today. But I would encourage you to take time, and it will be some testing and trying, but take time to iron out what time do you want to go to bed each night and what time do you want to wake up each morning, and fully commit. When you do that, your body's going to start getting used to it. And it's going to make falling asleep so much more easier and automatic. Like when I put my head to the pillow each night and I tell myself it's time to go to bed around 9 p.m., I'm sleeping less than 5 minutes. because I've trained my mind and body that at this time each day and night I go to bed, and I'm used to waking up at 5 a.m. every day, that when the alarm goes off, of course, are those moments where I'm like, I just want to sleep in. Yeah. But I have so many routines lined up that I go, I need to get out of my, I need to get up now because I need to do X, then I need to do this, then I need to do that. I have all these routines laid out. So all that to say, create routines that'll build the consistency, and then that'll hold you accountable to following through on it. Easier said than done, but trust me, one day at a time, it's going to make a massive difference.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Appreciate you asking, and I appreciate you supporting the content too.
100%. And Miguel, something that I like to add on top of that came to my mind is there's 3 zones that we typically live in as humans. There's a survival zone, thrive zone, and then a comfort zone. And so when we're in a survival zone, that is you, that you feel guilty, you feel like you're fucking up. That's you wanting to get back on track. Okay, then you're in the thrive zone, you start getting back to the swing of it, momentum, and then you get comfortable, right? You start slacking up, and then you fall back into the survival zone. And so what you want is you want to push yourself, right? Force the uncomfortability in the thrive zone, because if you do not chase the uncomfortable will find you.
Love
Wow.
that.
I really, yeah.
Chase the uncomfortable. That's fucking great.
Just something to add there on top of that, because I know that might shift a little bit of perspective. Cool. Anyone else? I'm sure you guys have lots of questions. Rick,
What do you got?
I have more of a statement than a question or whatever, but this is something that Cooper and I have dealt with quite a bit. And so it's something that it's a mindset that I'm slowly kind of like coming out of myself, because I have a tendency to really beat myself up over things. And so, you know, when you were talking about failure, you know, and using failure as an opportunity for growth, that's really a newer concept for me over the last, you know, couple of months. And I think the way that even that you explained it, this kind of helped to solidify it even more in my mind. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the way in which you presented that. And it helps me, again, I think, just sort of like reinforce that idea, that mindset of like, it's okay if you mess up on something, if you don't follow through 100% on the way that you thought that you would or anything like that. But making the effort and then learning from it is what's important, and then getting back up and trying again, especially if it's something that you're wanting to do in your life. So appreciate that.
I appreciate the feedback, Rick. I think just to add to that, put some more gasoline to the fire for you. There's some crazy statistics of like 80-90% of people on their deathbed regret not doing X in their life. And I think that's also something I've always thought about, is like, if I don't do this now, could I potentially look back on my life and regret not just going for it? And I think that's a great way to frame it too, when testing and trying new things. Like, could you potentially have a learning lesson? No longer are we going to say failure, learning lesson. Absolutely. But pat yourself on the back when you do take those initial steps before the results even come. I often forget too, like me, just in my context, in my world, posting an IG reel is a fucking win. Like I had to come up with an idea. I had to write it, create the audio, or record the audio, record the video, post it. Like that inevitably is a fucking massive win. But I could easily just attach my win to results. Another good mindset to add to you is process is greater than results. Process is greater than results. When you're obsessed about process, yes, you want to see results, but you're unattached to it. So you're no longer worried about the learning lessons or the winning decisions. You're solely focused on the actual process of doing whatever it is that you want to do. So I hope that adds more fuel, but I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. I even wrote that down. Thank you.
That's awesome. Ryan says it's about the journey, not the destination.
Amazing.
Spot on.
Yep.
Guys, who else? Tony, Ty, Ryan, you guys got
What we got, boys?
I got something for you, Bobby.
Let's hear it.
So first of all, I've been following you for a couple months now. Love what you do. Love your message. So thank you for putting that content out there. Number one. Number two, I just want to say, I think it's a big coincidence that a big theme of tonight was failure, because oddly enough, I'm listening to the greatness mindset, and I just happen to be on chapter 4, failure. So I just think it's kind of ironic that that was a big theme of tonight.
Mm.
And I love, all these new things that you've been teaching us tonight too. Like Cooper said, you've been spitting tonight. But I guess my question is, like it just happened to me today, at the gym. I went into it feeling really good, really positive, and then I came out of it and overall just not a good workout. So I guess my question is, how do you bounce back from a subpar workout?
It goes right back to what I just said. Process is greater than result. You walking in the gym tonight is a fucking win. Are there going to be days when you walk out of the gym and you feel absolutely ripped? Have there been days like that?
Absolutely.
Have there been days that you feel like shit, like today?
Yeah.
Have there been days where you feel in between?
Mm-hmm.
More times than not, you can't control. There are a lot of things that could have led up to that. What you ate today, did you get enough sleep? The social media content you consumed, things that are happening in your life, all this external shit that we'd have to really whiteboard it to get very clear. But at a high level, we both know that you're going to have great days. You're going to have shitty days. You're going to have those in between days. So I think if anything, when that moment like tonight happens, for me, what I always tell myself is I sleep it off. And tomorrow when I wake up, I feel more refreshed. I was pissed off last night having wasted 90 minutes on a phone call because I'm such a time optimizer. But I tell myself, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. So I'm going to sleep it off. I'm going to get back up. And I'm going to maximize my time the next day. You might not feel like you got the best workout ever, but did you show up? How many people today alone wanted to be in the gym, but actually didn't go? I hate to say it and hate to be honest. I fucking bet you there are a lot of people. So never forget that you showing up and walking in is a win. And once again, when you're walking out and you might not feel like it was the best workout, remind yourself the process of you being in there completely outweighs what that result may feel like. Coincidence
Definitely.
of you listening to Failure Mindset, fucking unbelievable. You supporting the content, and I don't know how you came across it. I appreciate the shit out of that, man. So I don't know what the simulation, I don't know what y'all believe in, but like, whew, shit gets me some goosebumps thinking about this shit, man. I hope that is helpful, Charlie, though, in all seriousness.
Definitely. Thank you, Bobby. I think moving forward, I'm definitely going to take that piece of advice that you said to like do it for your past self, because like real quick, like I was like pretty overweight 8 months ago, and to see how far I've come now, like, I think that's a really good way to look at it. Do it for that previous version of yourself to keep on going and grinding every day. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
You heard me talk about it a few times about looking back in my past, and it's not because I'm some ego-driven, obsessed about myself. It's because it's these chapters in my life that I can use as checkpoints, and that very much can be the same thing for you as like where you were 8 months ago. I have no idea, but I know that there's some emotion and some like nobody will ever understand and feel it as much as you do. So when you have those moments, maybe use that as a checkpoint to remind yourself, but where was I 6 months? Where was I a year ago? Oh yeah. Like I've made so much progress and I'm going to keep making progress. And even using, tonight's experience and moment as motivation to get back in the gym tomorrow, or maybe do something tomorrow within the gym that you normally don't want to do because you're scared of it. But we seek the discomfort and maybe push yourself that extra mile. These are great questions.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, man, the container you got over here this is really beautiful.
These guys are studs.
I agree.
That's Jack. Jack, what's up, dude? I don't even see you in here. What's up, man?
I've been here the entire time. Thanks.
You got any questions,
What's up,
bro?
guys? I mean, Bobby's been hitting everything. Like, it doesn't leave much room for questions, and I've been writing down everything. But yeah, no, Bobby, when you were saying how you were in that previous situation with your girlfriend when you guys broke up and stuff, I was last year. Cooper and I actually did. I don't know if you posted it yet, but I think, didn't you say you were going to post on Spotify or like a podcast or something? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I was currently living with my ex-girlfriend of 3 years, and we were locked in a lease. I had to stay in that lease for 6 months. Luckily I'm out of that now and I'm living on my own and stuff. But how during that time, like, how did you view life and see the positives and everything, and know that like that one situation like that was temporary, and like once you got out of it, it's not like, oh, I can't wait till this happens and then I'll be happy. How did you like wake up every day and be like, okay, like I need to be happy now, rather than just waiting for the future self to be like, okay, this is over, I can like move on with my life and never have to experience that again?
Great question. I'm going to be honest with you, fellas. This has not been something I've talked about publicly, and I'm happy to share tonight, just because this is a right container to kind of talk about some things. But I would say from mid-November of last year till now, I've been on quite the emotional ride. I mean, there's every aspect of your life, there's emotions, but like this was a huge one that I had to learn. I'd been single for 10 years and then got into a pretty serious relationship, and then went through a breakup. Long story short, through that, we actually got back together and are now on a much better path. And there's been a lot of therapy, couples there, a lot of deep work. All that to say, in that moment though, when I was going through it, one thing that I've gotten better at, I'm not a master of it, but I would really suggest for anyone that's listening and, you have those emotional moments in your life, breakups or just mental days, whatever, is each day that I was going through it. And I'd say it's been like this mindset even up till now. In the last month and a half, it's gotten a lot better, but is compartmentalizing these pockets of time in your day when you allow yourself to think about, to mourn, to write notes, to, I was essentially creating 4 to 5 pockets in my day to be alone, to shut off my phone, to go for a walk. And I would listen to like, how am I feeling? What is my gut telling me to do? What is my heart saying? And I would do this multiple times in a day, all the while creating content, building my business, working full time, I didn't miss a beat with my fitness. Like I just knew that I had to go back to the routines and habits that made me feel my best self to ultimately help me through that process. And I will say that a byproduct of all this has been stillness, has been not keeping myself busy to ignore the deep feelings and emotions that I need to sit with. I was doing that in the beginning, where I was keeping myself busy every night of the week, going to an event, grabbing dinner with people. You don't want to do that. You want to truly get still and listen to what your heart is telling you. And that's inevitably what I needed to do. So I think that's a big suggestion I have for anyone listening. Like, create those compartmentalizations where you're like, all right, I'm going to think about this for the next 20 minutes. And when this 20 minutes is up, I'm going to stop. And then 2 to 3 hours from now, I'll come back. But I need to stop obsessing, because it's not changing anything and it's not helping me progress with my day. And I think that mindset allowed me to navigate the breakup, but also still making sure that I wasn't just full-fledged, completely off the grid from other aspects of my life and responsibilities. Easier said than done, absolutely. But what a fucking journey and lesson it was through it all.
You're the man. Thanks so much.
Appreciate the question.
Yeah, Bob, thank you for sharing that vulnerability.
I have a question if no one is gonna go next.
You're up, baby.
All right. So when you say 1% better every day, how do you make sure or guarantee that you're not like Like, yeah, you're always making improvements, but how do you make sure you're keeping up with those improvements? Like, let's say you listen to a podcast 10 minutes every day or something like that. How do you make sure that whatever you do today still tops that?
So that's a great fucking question, Jared. I wouldn't frame it as what I did today. Tomorrow I need to top that. I'm not here trying to PR the day before, the day before, the day before. To me, it's about sustainable consistency, right? If I and I see where the question comes from, valid question. If I adapted that type of a mindset like PRing, like yesterday I listened to 45 minutes of a podcast, today I'm doing 47, and then I'm doing 50, right? Inevitably gonna burn out, not enough time of the day. I'm not gonna be in a good space. But to me, it's all about like this conversation tonight, without a doubt, this falls under the bucket of 1% growth per day. This incredible conversation, getting a chance to talk to you guys, listen to some of the questions and feedback of what you guys are going through. Like, this is part of that growth. So for me, it's like, you know, being in a place where I've taken the time to ask myself, how do I want to spend time each day? How do I ensure I'm doing those things and making sure my life is my day looks like that? As long as I'm following through on those things, that's the 1% growth mindset. It's not sexy. It's not like these big hits of like achievement. It's the little stepping stones that I know are making the biggest difference. I think one of the best, there's been so many different, like if I compartmentalize it, there's been so many of these experiences that like I've seen the 1% growth mindset evolve to like these massive wins, but like marathon running, great way to look at it is like, you know, I trained for 3 months running 5 days a week. Each day is 1%, but all of that 99.99% work is up for that 0.1% moment, which is you running and crossing the finish line of the marathon. Like if I did the math of how much time we spent training, eating right, all that for then to the actual marathon, 99.99% time, energy is put into the training. It's that small moment at the very end, the finish line, that gets all of the reward, right? So once again, each day, am I reading for 30 minutes? Did I get in a workout? Am I hydrating enough? Am I eating healthy? Am I taking 30 to 60 minutes at the end of my day to watch some Netflix and wind down from a busy day? That's 1% growth for me. All these things that I've identified as important to me, going to sleep at the right time, waking up at the same time each day, that's for me, my 1% growth mindset. And it's going to be different for you. It's going to be different for everyone else. So it goes back to our original first question, is like, how do you build consistency? It's like, once you identify the consistent habits and routines that you want in your life, and you can fall through with those on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you're inevitably living and preaching the 1% growth mindset. You don't see it on a day-to-day. It's really minor adjustments, but over a long period of time, you're going to see some massive growth. Does that answer your question?
Bro, 100%. Yeah. I really appreciate that. That helps a lot. Thank you so much.
And your last thing I'll say, Jared, your 1% growth mindset and day is going to look different than mine and everyone else on this calls. That doesn't mean yours or mine is better than each other's. It's custom to you. It's not supposed to be the same as mine or anyone else's. As long as it works for you, you're on the right path.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby, Jared is a stud. He's 17. He's got his own business. He's crushing.
I mean, everyone in this call is a stud. So I get it, man. You got nobody but heaters in here.
I love it. Love it. Richard, Ryan, do you guys have any questions? Ty?
I do actually. Oh, that was a good stress. Hey, so Bobby, before I get into anything, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. Everything that you've said so far has just been nothing but gold, and I know we all are very appreciative of that. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. So with the way that my life is structured right now, I'm working full-time, I'm pursuing school full-time, and I'm also studying to become a life insurance agent. I actually have my insurance test tomorrow that I'm taking, so I'm hoping to pass that. But with everything that's going on, including me trying to make time to work out and just introduce or incorporate like a bunch of other stuff into my life. I guess the question is like, how do you
balance it all?
Yeah, like in terms of like finding the right balance and also dealing with all the stress that so many factors can contribute, especially since all this stuff has been very, very new to me. So I'm still trying to figure out how to make everything work smoothly.
Yeah. So one, thank you for the feedback on just the environment and conversation tonight. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you fucking being here, and anyone else on the call. The test you're taking tomorrow, once you take that, that's one massive thing wiped off your plate, correct? Great. So you're a savage for taking on what I would say is 3 massive things: full-time job, full-time school, and studying for that exam. That's like hats off to you, brother. That's a lot. And I don't even know the day-to-day what that looks like, but I just know it's a lot. I think the key is moving forward. I would just challenge you, and depending on life circumstances, if that's what you needed to do, fucking you power through it. But I would very much suggest moving forward is you have to be realistic about what can you accomplish in a day and what is going to be sustainable, the sustainable consistency, what's going to be sustainable over a period of time. If I use it in my example, do I want to run a full-time podcast again? Yes. Do I want to be putting out YouTube consistently content? Yes. But in reality of where I'm at in my life right now, it would be unsustainable for me to do that because I would be pushing myself, the gas pedal to the fucking floor. I would be on E and I would expect myself to be going at 100 miles per hour. Can I do that for a couple of days in a row? Yes. A couple of weeks, months, I'm going to hit the wall. So I think the key is you have to be honest with yourself of, what do I want to juggle in this season of my life? What's the priority and what can wait? Now, for you, that might be, I got working full-time is a priority. There's no question about it. Cool. That's number one. Balancing school while studying for that exam. Maybe you could have chose the school, then the exam, or vice versa. I don't know. But I think it's a lot to balance, and you got to be honest with yourself about how much are you willing to work? Because there was a time in my life where I was working on 6 hours of sleep every night for long periods of time. Now I'm like minimum 7.5, 8 hours is like, I need that. And if I don't do that, I'm fucking miserable.
Yeah.
What's your initial thoughts?
That's kind of how I feel like what I am right now, mainly just because I'm like with Cooper, I have been in this program for only just slightly over a month right now. So
Right.
I'm still learning a bunch and still implementing a lot of things. Because that's kind of how I feel right now with everything that's going. Because even though I've gotten progressively better in terms of physicality and mindset and everything over the last like probably even at this point like 2 or 3 months right now, that's just how I feel right now with everything. It's just pedal to the metal. Because I'm 23 years old and yet I'm still in school. I think I only have right now about 16 months right now until I graduate, assuming that I pass all my classes, which is kind of a good thing for me, because that means I can move away from Starbucks and actually go into a job that can support me living on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because I also kind of feel like at the same time, like for a while, it was also comparison issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really bad for a little bit because before I started my whole development journey, I would be looking at like a bunch of other people or like other people that I used to talk to, like old friends. They're getting married, they're in relationships, they have good careers, they're all moved out and whatnot, and I'm still here. So I think it's one of those things where like I'm proud of what I'm doing right now, and I'm proud with who I've already become. I just need to just push myself for the next couple of years so that I can just get my life moving.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, if there's anything you can take away from this call, and I know the feeling, it goes back to what I was just saying. I graduated 22, 99% of the graduating class went and got a full-time career. I started driving Uber. This moment moving forward, I want this to be the moment for you to let go of the comparison. If you find yourself comparing yourself to people on social media, people you don't talk to anymore, you went to high school with, you're in college with, but like you don't really talk to, unfollow them, get them out of your daily consciousness, and remind yourself that your story is unique and one of a kind. Once again, this low moment that you might be feeling, it might not be a low to you, but like this moment of like pedal to the fucking metal, optimizing every minute. You know, you made the comment about you're 23 and you're still in college. It doesn't matter, man. Like everyone is on their own fucking path. And it's even me saying that out loud, I have to check myself and be like, you fucking fall for that shit yourself. Like I fall for that often, but you gotta look at the wins that Ryan's achieving each day, those small wins, those small steps, and know that it's going to get you to where you need to be. And the last thing you want to do is compare yourself or, you know, make up a bad story in your mind about you're not living on your own. You work at Starbucks. You're in school full time. You're 23, bro. I was driving Uber full time until I was 26. I had people around me that were making six figures, family, like just trust the path you're on. And honestly, treat your 20s, the next 7 years of your life, as exploration years. Just explore, see where it takes you. Don't feel like you need to be married and have kids in fucking 2 years. Take all that out and just focus on figuring out what is Ryan's path over these next 7 years. And I promise you 7 years from now, you are going to be fucking on a whole different wave. And you're going to be really proud that you committed to your own journey.
That's how I even feel just after 8 months. 9 months, I think. I started working out back in August. And then from there, it's just been nonstop getting like, it was a bunch of like inspirational stuff that started on Instagram, like getting all those inspiration reels. And it's just been skyrocketing into who I already am. So I'm very hopeful and have high anticipations for who Ryan is going to be in the future. Because it's one of those other things as well, where like for a while, my coworkers would be inviting me to parties and I'd be going, everyone's drinking and smoking and whatnot like that. And just the other day, I had to tell one of my friends who a bunch of us were gonna go like hang out, like they wanted to go to the beach and do some like day drinking on the beach or whatnot and playing volleyball and whatnot. And it's like, no, I have no interest in that.
Good for you. Not easy to do. I'll say this though, Ryan, I don't know you other than the last 4 to 5 minutes we've been talking, but one thing I know about you is you're aware of who you are and what you want to become. And I know that to be a truth because you wouldn't have started working with Cooper. You wouldn't be in this environment right now. So if I was a betting man, I would place my bets on you because the awareness is the most important part. You don't have the perfect blueprint right now. You have no fucking idea where you're going. You're just on the beginning of the self-improvement journey and listening to these podcasts and reading these books and watching this inspirational content. It's a fucking lot. But the most important thing is that you're putting yourself on that track. I'm all about staying on track of your goals and you're putting yourself on the right track. Even though you don't know where the track is taking you, you're on the track. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've learned like from a bunch of videos that I've seen from like ultra successful or at least very, very successful people that are in like their 30s or 40s, like multi-millionaires, is I think one of the ones I first saw like very early into my development is treating your 20s as a workshop stage. So if you learn 12 things, become good at 3, and then just master those crafts.
It's a really good way to look at it.
I love it. I love it. Guys are running amazing here. These conversations are just packed full of value. Bobby, I do appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. Does anyone else have any closing questions for Bobby? Going once? Going twice? Jack? I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Wait, Bobby, you said you're from Boston?
Massachusetts, hour and a half west of Boston. I went to school in Boston though.
I'm from New York. So you and I, oh no.
Go Sox.
Oh God. Go Yanks. But so let me ask you one quick thing. When you did graduate Bentley, I went to Stony Brook, so I know exactly where Bentley is. But when you graduated, what made you want to do Uber rather than like you said you got a degree in business?
Yeah.
What made
So
you want to go down that route?
yeah, I was great question. It goes more deeper into like my story. That's why I don't spend too much time, but I will get into it here because you asked. I drove Uber part-time in college, like my junior year, just like as a side hustle, make some cash.
Right.
And during my junior year summer, I worked Uber full-time as a summer job, and it was fucking great. I worked Monday through Thursday-ish, worked sometimes on Fridays and like have the weekends off, right?
Right.
So when I was graduating college and I didn't apply to a job, I didn't really see anything I was interested in. I started this idea in my mind of starting my own podcast came to mind, but there was a 2 to 3 month limbo from when I graduated and I went back home and I was just trying to vet like work opportunities. Like, how can I hustle to make money? Like college loans don't kick in for 6 months. I don't have any rent. So I have 6 months to just fuck around and figure this out. So eventually 3 months in, I was like, fuck, I'm going to go back to Boston for a month with my buddy who had a sublease. I'm just going to drive Uber for a little bit and kind of keep navigating this podcast conversation. So then it became like, I'm going to start this podcast. I signed a year lease in Boston and I was like, I'll just drive Uber for the year unless something comes up. Once again, the one day at a time mindset. I didn't start driving Uber where I was like, I'm going to do this full time for 3 years, 4 years. I was like, in the short term, it's paying my bills. I am in control of my time and I can prioritize this podcast, which is like me asking other people to come on the show. So I would say to them, hey, when are you available Monday through Sunday to do a podcast? Because I can fucking make it work because I work on my own hours. So it was hand in hand, the best thing. And inevitably, I did a year in Boston, moved out to LA, and then did another 2.5 years full time out here driving. So that was how it kind of just serendipitously happened. It wasn't like a strategic plan of mine. It was just like at the right time, it felt like, yeah, I'm just going to keep driving Uber to pay the bills. And it made sense and became the outlet.
Wow. And why LA?
Since I was in 5th grade, I knew I wanted to be in LA. The sunshine, the weather. I just knew I wanted to be in LA. And I don't know what it was that was inside me then, but it made sense because then by the time I did make the move out here, I was in the line of work that this place flourishes with, which is creativity and entertainment to a certain extent. So I was like, perfect. The place I've always wanted to live is also the place I need to be for at least these early year work opportunities.
That's awesome.
SoCal, baby.
Wow. Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, first off, Bobby, thank you so much for your time, man. You're amazing. And you truly are just a testament of just positive energy, grounded masculinity. Like, you're a stud, dude. So thank you so much for your time. Where can these guys find you at on Instagram? And then also, where can these guys hit you up for that free course as well?
Yeah. All socials, just at Bobby, at BO. I'll just type it in the chat. It's very confusing. I have so many letters. It's BO, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. If you type that on Google, TikTok, Instagram, you can find it. And as long as you go to any of my socials, there'll be a link in the bio. And from there, you'll see Master Your Minute video course. If you scroll up a little bit in the chat, I did place it in there from when Jared asked about earlier. Free video course. There's no strings attached. But if any of this call resonate with you, I think that's a good place to start with some of the free stuff that I have to offer. And I think it'd be really helpful.
Awesome. I love it. Check it out, guys. Seriously. Bobby, thank you again so much for your time, brother. Good to see you as always.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be seeing you soon, man. We'll have to connect soon.
Speechless on this environment tonight, fellas. You got a great leader, and I would just encourage you guys to keep being open and having these honest conversations, because this is where the real growth is. And not only I would bet on every single one of you that's on this call, because you put yourself in this environment for a reason, and that is the hardest first step. So keep going with whatever that path looks like for you. And shoot me a voice memo DM if I can ever be of help, especially coming out of this container. I really appreciate the environment, and this is really fucking enjoyable. So I appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby.
Keep doing you, Cooper, too. I got to give you your flowers too, brother.
I fucking love you, man.
Cool.
Good to see you as always.
You guys have a good night. All right.
Peace.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you, my man.